Man, what's up, Doc? You're watching ChillyBoy Productions. That's right, Doc. ChillyBoy Productions.
So on projects that you voice multiple characters, which is obviously a pretty common thing for you, what is your process like in maintaining those characters specifically to make sure you're staying distinct from one another? So how do you get into character as you have to portray multiple in a single project?
Well, I love all your questions. They're very specific and they're very good. I love that because, when you grow up and your childhood is whatever it is in that moment that you're watching on TV, that's the food that's in your body, that's in your genes. And so when I grew up, it was Huckleberry Hound, it was Yogi Bear, and it was the Looney Tunes, and Speed Racer, and Spider-Man. So I'll reference back to a Flintstones episode and make sure that I'm the bunny rubble that most people will remember. And I did Barney for Fruity Pebbles cereal for many years, and then eventually I would do Fred Flintstone as well. So I try to reference back to that because it's people's childhood. You can't mess with a person's childhood because they'll go after you.
Hi, this is Carlo of 4GQ TV. It was nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Can you tell me a little bit how you got into voice acting?
I was about 7 or 8 years old. I saw Rich Little, who was an impersonator in the 1960s, and I saw him do all these different voices, and it was like watching a magician in a magic act. And I thought, my gosh, I think I want to try to do that. And I tried doing voices, whoever it was in that day, the president or whoever. I didn't sound like anybody because I was only 7. So it wasn't until I was maybe 15 where I started to sound like people, and my parents thought, hey, that's not bad. That's pretty good. George Burns, I did Jack Benny, Jimmy Carter, voices of that era. And I started to kind of do a little bit of their rhythm, but not really, I sounded like their voice. It wasn't until I was maybe in my 20s where my voice really matured and I sounded like me. So I always was a very auditory type of person. Sound was how I operated. I would often not remember anything that I would see in a movie. I would watch a movie or a TV show. I couldn't remember what I would see, but I remember what I would hear.
What was your big break into voice acting in the industry?
I'd say the first big break probably would be 1989 with Tiny Toons. That was like really the big. I mean, I was knocking on doors and trying to make a living, and it was tough for about 6 years, and that opportunity really started to open up a lot of doors for me.
Speaking of Tiny Toons, Sabina Graves, Iona Gizmodo, I was able to watch a couple episodes a couple days ago of the new series, and we got to see the mentorship episode where Buster thinks he's going to be mentored by Bugs. And I wanted to know, what has it been like to get the call again to return to the show? Was it a Spielberg call? And was Tiny Toons a show you hoped would come back? What has been your relationship with it since its legacy? Like, I grew up on it, so I'm very excited for it to be back.
When we first did the show, you don't know if anything is ever going to happen, if it's ever going to go anywhere, if it's anybody going to like it. So, and at that time it was like Bugs Bunny's 50th birthday. So it was just a job. It was just like another job. And I know actors oftentimes say that, but it's true. You just don't know. And then you hope you get another job from that. So here we are 33, 34 years later almost. And now it's like they're going to bring the show back again. And when I heard the theme song, I was like, oh my God, it's going to be amazing. And so I was really honored in it, and it was definitely Warner Brothers and Amblin Entertainment that asked me to do it. So I'm just.
Have you gotten to record as multiple characters as well? I know you were confirmed for Bugs and Sylvester.
Sylvester? Suffering Bucket Cat? Yes, indeed. And then if I say Foghorn Leghorn, I say yes indeed.
Well, can you tease about the show sort of like style and tone this time around that makes you excited to come back to it?
Well, the storylines are very different. I have a woman director, and she's wonderful. And she's written for the show. So I think it's for more this generation for today. And there's issues and things that will come up that kids will be able to relate to, in this era. It's a different show, but it was very smart the way they wrote it. I'm excited for people to see it.
About the new Tiny Toons, what can you say about that? It's in the works.
Well, I'm super excited to see it. I mean, we recorded it. We didn't know when it was going to come out, of course. And when I saw the trailer and the theme song, I got excited because I thought, oh my God, that's it. That's the trailer. And that's when I first met. When I did all the Tiny Toons originally, that's when I first met Maurice LaMarche. That's when I met Charlie Adler, Therese McNeil, Bob Bergen, and the great, Don Messick, who was Hampton Pig. So I got to meet all those people, and even Steven Spielberg too.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a surprise actually. He came in the studio, and he gave me a model sheet, and on it says to Jeff, Mel would be proud, Steve Spielberg. Oh. So that one in a frame in about 20 minutes. So I still have that. So that super touched me.
So can you give a little insight on what the process is like different from film to doing a episodic television series for a voice actor such as yourself?
Great question. I always used to think, oh, a film. That's going to be so sophisticated, and oh my God, a film. And so oftentimes when you do a film, it's like there's so much going on, there's so many moving parts going on that sometimes the script it's not totally finished, and sometimes you only see a certain scene, and sometimes they're not sure if they're going to have you record that line. Oh, we don't need that line. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. There's a lot of ifs and maybes and ups and downs, but with a television show, everything always seems to be so organized. The script is the script. It's the Bible. If you need any exposition, there's the director or the script supervisor there to help you. So it's a television, and maybe it's because it's so, they have to be so organized because you get so many episodes. And so I always find it to be, I don't want to say easier, but more predictable.
You mentioned going from job to job and not sure where the next work is going to be, and obviously that's kind of the nature of acting and that sort of thing. Can you tell us a little bit about like how you feel with the strikes going on and everything, and maybe even do a little bit of Bugs Bunny there's thoughts?
Well, it was tough those first 5, 6, 7 years, and and I became a SAG-AFTRA member in 1983. 1982, 83, something like that. And then I joined SAG in 84, and I thought $600 was expensive to join the union then. Now it's, oh my God, it's thousands of dollars. But yeah, I've been really fortunate that I have never, ever, ever done a non-union job, ever. I've always supported the union. I've always been behind the union. And I've just been lucky. Like I said, there were times that were tough,
But I got through it, Doc. I did. I got through it with all my pals.
Well, I kind of want to jump in on both your questions here because when you made Space Jam: A New Legacy, for example, were there a lot of different did you have to come back to do different line readings or different lines? Like, for example, when Bugs died, I was freaking out because I was like, no, like, how could this be happening? But also I did want you to sort of comment on, was there like an awareness while y'all were making that movie of the threat of AI? Because the film pretty much captures a lot of what we're going through, which is really weird. Was that something that was like kind of just already in the mind of the creatives in that space, or is it just like kind of bizarrely Nostradamus-like that is now happening?
It's very meta.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, recording everything after March 16th, we were in lockdown. And so all the shows, everything we were recording was all in our own home studios. So I had to craft my own home studio. I didn't really have anything that I would say that I would be proud or like that I was equipped to do that. I just had enough equipment that I could do auditions, but we had to get it together fast and get the studio. So it was just weird. It's like, oh, I don't have to get on the freeway to go anywhere to commute to any studio. It's all going to be in my slippers and my shorts or whatever what I was wearing that day. Everybody you were looking at was on Zoom. So that was a weird thing, getting Zoom direction. Depending on the art director and the director and the script supervisor, and they're all there and they're all giving you direction. And we had to sort of engineer initially our own recording sessions. So there was a lot on the voice actors to do, all during the pandemic. So, but as far as AI was concerned, I didn't think about that was going to happen. And then, but I mean, people knew about this technology years ago.
Because everyone is like on the internet is like referencing, oh my gosh, Space Jam: New Legacy, like knew what was gonna happen.
Brothers warned us.
But yeah, I don't. That's funny. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I personally didn't think about it, but I wonder if the directors, I wonder if they did, or I'd be interested to know about that. That's a funny question. Yeah, but I didn't think about it. I mean, now, like it's at our doorstep now, and we're all thinking, oh my God, are we all going to be replaced with everything?
Out of all the characters that you played, is there any that you truly feel like you relate to, that hits your passion?
I mean, I put these characters here for a reason, because I've done them at least a couple of times each, and so I feel very comfortable with all of these characters. But I would have to say, if I'm doing Fred Flintstone or Wally Gator, any of these characters, you just assume that role, and you just get into that character and dig in to that character. And I almost feel like every time I do, even if I've done a voice 25 times, I have to start at the beginning again, because it's a new script, it's a new director, and it's a new style, and you don't know what it is. So I'll reference everything, that I have, that I can do, and then ultimately, the current script that you have is what you're referring to. So, they're all my favorites, I mean, sure, Bugs Bunny, Fred Flintstone, Yogi Bear, George Jetson. I mean, I guess maybe they're my more favorites, if I had to say. Maybe because and Daffy, maybe because they're bigger alpha characters. But I love Elmer, and the part about Elmer Fudd, I always like the fact that Elmer is so sweet and so vulnerable, and he's always duped into everything. And a lot of times they play him a little on the angrier side, which is funny. I'll get you awful human being. And that's funny, but I like the sweeter side too. There's different parts of the characters that I love, One of the characters I love, Sylvester and Sylvester Jr. You're getting to be a big boy now, son, and there comes a time we must discuss some of the mysteries of life.
Yes, Father. What is it you wish to know?
Now, the first thing a cat's gotta know is how to catch mice.
Gosh, Father, you really know your stuff. I think.
And so the relationship between Sylvester and Sylvester Jr., I love that. And Sylvester, interestingly enough, is the only character, I think, that lives in two universes. He's Sylvester, and he's a dad, a father, but he's also a pet to Granny. And so there's two separate universes. I don't think there's any other Looney Tunes character that I can think of that has that distinction.
With Looney Legends and Coversation, during the panel you shared obviously this story about how you met Mel, and I'm excited to sort of see through this journey what sort of came up sort of like thematically about your life and Mel's life and Noel's life in the making of this project.
Oh my God. Noel and I would sit for hours, and he would talk to me about, how difficult it was sometimes having to deal. I never thought that Mel Blanc had any issues, but you have to look at it, it's a different time. He said, you probably made more money, Jeff, in 1 year than my dad made in his whole life, because things were, think about it. He bought that cabin in Big Bear, $600. $600. So I was really startled to know that, certain jobs he would be paid $65 a week or something. $65 a week? Are you kidding me? It was interesting to know that, and of course, that he never rehearsed. And I always thought, oh my God, I have to read my scripts like as many times as it takes to feel comfortable with it. Yeah, there were so many surprising things, really. Again, I wanted to know, what about Halloween? What was that like? Your dad is Bugs Bunny and you're 8 years old. He said it was insane. Kids just line up.
Sometimes if you're in public, wherever you're going, do you ever just come out in a character's voice and shock everybody?
Generally, no. I do not. I'm rather understated about it. But if you do put a mic in front of me, then pretty much a ham, I guess, after that. But yeah, I would much rather not talk about the characters or the legacy or any of that. I'd just rather do the voices. I mean, I know there's actors that do it much better than I do, that talk about the history and the thing, and I enjoy it to a point. But as you can see, I like to break into it. But in a restaurant or out in public, I would say probably not likely to. Yeah.
What is the strangest line someone has asked you or paid you to say?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I would have to say, all right, it's a project I can talk about, but I can tell you who I did and I can do the voice.
I had to do a certain person that was the President of the United States. And you know what? There's a lot of great things happening. People don't want to talk about it. They don't want to tell you about it. They don't want to tell you that I am your retribution. I am the man of the hour. I'm there for people.
So it was a show that I was on where I had to do President Trump. And yeah, it was, every line I said in the show was outrageous.
Tell me about your experience with Charlie the Tuna.
Okay, this is a great story because no one ever asked me about this. So there was an actor that had done the character in 1961. He passed away in 1986. And so they need to recast the character. So I was 26 at the time. We get a call, my agent gets a call from the public relations firm that they want me to dress up as Charlie the Tuna. And I said, oh, okay. Well, what they were telling me is they wanted me to get into a smelly Charlie the Tuna suit. Be in that suit, get into a limo with the top open, with my head out, as we're driving south on Broadway to Cinderella's Fish Market in New York. And my agent said to me, don't say no. I'm telling you, if you do this, you're going to become the voice of Charlie the Tuna. I said, all right. So I put that suit on, and I'm going to tell you what. It may have been bad before, but it was even worse when I got through with it, because I was in it for like an hour and a half. And then I had to get out of the van, I don't know how, the limo, and then just kind of waddle up to the microphone. And they had press there. And hello there, this is Charlie the Tuna from Starkist. I still can't get hooked by Starkist. And so I did that, and I just thought, oh God, I was all sweaty and tired. I got out of the costume. And I just thinking to myself, just the stuff you do as an actor. And you just got to do it, Somebody may be watching. Well, I get back into the limo, I take the head of the tuna thing off, and there's a guy, about 6'3", 6'4", in there, and he goes, you know what? You are Charlie the Tuna. And I thought he was just saying, great job, Charlie the Tuna. I didn't realize he was the vice president of Starkist. So the next day I got the call, and it's like, you're the voice. And so I've been doing it since then.
So obviously you've voiced so many iconic characters already up to this point. What would you still like to do? Is there a project? Is there
Toy
a
Story.
Character? Oh, Toy Story.
Toy Story 5, Mr. Potato Head.
All right.
That I was at Don Rickles. I stayed up in high school in the 70s and snuck on a black and white TV set, watching Tonight Show when Don Rickles was on. He was my favorite all time. So that would be the biggest honor, to do that. Ages 3 and up. It's on my box. Ages 3 and up. What's the matter with you? What are you, crazy? Get out of here. So, that would be the end all.